All right, morning everybody. What is going on? Welcome to the stream. If you guys can hear me, if you can see me, give me a thumbs up. Welcome, welcome. It's good to be back on another Saturday doing another 3D live stream for y'all. We do these every week. You know, most of you guys our regulars, y'all know this, but if you're coming from Corridor, welcome to the channel. Good to see you guys. Thanks for watching the VFX Artist React episode. Yeah, so every week, you know, we do 3D live streams here and we work on our passions together, which in this case is 3D modeling, 3D texturing, just making stuff generally in 3D, making stuff look cool and following those passions every single week. So Saturday morning cartoons was one of my favorite things as a kid growing up, and now it's Saturday morning VFX. Welcome everybody. Thanks for hopping in. So yeah, what the heck is going on? I'm running a render contest right now. It's called Dynamic Machines, and I'm challenging you. I'm challenging literally everyone who can open a 3D program to join me and create the coolest 3D contraption you can possibly create. If you want to learn more about how to get started on this collaborative challenge, there's a link down below going to an announcement stream, or an announcement video rather, where I talk about everything and like, you know, how to get started and what you guys need to know, because there's the very specific rules you got to follow. There's a project file you got to download, which I'll show you here in just a moment. And yeah, at the end of it, basically I'm going to combine everything together into one seamless looking contraption from the community. It's going to be incredible. I'm so excited. I can't wait to put that video out. So this is the second to last weekend. Next weekend, July 31st, is the last Saturday to work on this. I technically have not started my submission yet. I've done 2 on the past 2 streams, but those are just to kind of get you guys an example. I'm actually going to start my official submission today. So if you hadn't started yet, don't worry, you're not behind, because I'm right there with you. What else? For those of you who have finished your submissions or are getting close, there is a submission link. It actually is announced today. This is the first time I've announced it. So the link, it's in the description. It leads you to a submission page. Make sure you follow that page correctly, because you can only submit once. There's so many submissions. I only got so much Google points. All right, I can only hold so much storage. So you can only upload once. Make sure it's your final render. If you submit a work in progress, I'm taking that as your final render. So make sure you follow that page closely. The link is in the description. So let me show you guys what we're going to be doing today on the live stream. I'm going to get as far as I can. Yo, thank you for the super chat. I have a similar beard to Vsauce, Michael. Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or just a, you know, I do what I can. I do what I can. Appreciate you. Let's figure out what we can do here on the stream, what the goal is. So let me switch over for y'all. This is what I'm gonna make. I'm not gonna finish it on the stream, but I'm gonna get as far as I can within a reasonable amount of time. This is a photograph by one of my favorite photographers, Joe Nishizawa. He's a Japanese photographer who lives in Japan, and he takes pictures of some of the coolest things you ever seen. Places you would never really be able to visit. He gets access to laboratories and different like engineering facilities, and he's currently photographing the deconstruction of the Fukushima power plant. So this dude is amazing. Joe Nishizawa. He's on Instagram. He's an absolutely incredible photographer. So I'm going to be recreating this in 3D. This is going to be a lot of pipes and wires and basic geometric shapes here, but it's just a lot of detail. A lot of detail. So like I said, I'm not going to finish this on the stream here, but I'm going to get as far as I can. Once I can build out something similar to this vibe, I'm going to get our ball hooked up and guide it down this contraption. So the first goal is to just get this look going, and then I'll worry about how the ball is going to navigate through all of these pieces. And I'm going to show you a couple different websites that I'm using to source different pieces like this. One of them is a free website. It's really cool. I can't wait to show y'all. I'm doing this in Cinema 4D. I know a lot of you guys use Blender. It's a free program. But whatever you're using, the whole point is to, you know, get inspired and focus on your passion, right? So it doesn't matter what program you're using. It doesn't matter what tools you have access to. The point is just to get inspired, and like, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I know all of you are probably working on your submissions too. DYSK Music, what's up from Sydney, Australia? Yo, one day I'll visit. One day I'll come down there. I love traveling, and I'm excited for things to open up, hopefully within the next, I don't know, few months, year or so. I'm ready to travel again. Before we jump in, I think that's it. Not in honor of, but in conjunction with the announcement of the submission link for the Dynamic Machines Challenge, we actually got a sponsor today. It's Concierge Render. They are our render farm. And I'm going to play you guys just like a quick minute little thing to show you what they are, who they are, and how you can submit your essentially your scenes to their site through their render farm, be able to essentially render your stuff through their service. It's very cheap. They got a nice deal for y'all. And I think it would be helpful for you guys if you want to use a render farm to complete your submission. So back in about a minute and a half, I'll see you guys soon. So as we approach the August 1st deadline for the Dynamic Machines Render Challenge, Concierge Render is stepping up to sponsor this stream and hook all of you up with a really nice deal. Concierge Render is a render farm service that takes the stress of rendering your complex 3D scenes off your plate and onto their servers, stacked with enough GPUs and RAM to run a small country. Rendering your final scene couldn't be easier with their simple setup. All you need to do is upload your project file through the file manager and launch the render. Select your program, render engine, and render type, double check your frames and resolution, and select the hardware you'd like to use for the job. They even have some handy upload instructions for any first timers. Then just hit render and watch the frames roll in. It's actually super satisfying to watch. Concierge Render supports Blender's Cycles and Eevee engines, as well as Cinema 4D's physical and Redshift renderers, and has a legit customer service chat ready to help you at any moment along the way. And fans of the channel, click the link below to receive $10 in bonus credits for your first $10 purchase. They're also throwing in another $5 if you can verify your phone number. That's plenty of render hours to render your Dynamic Machine submissions and more by August 1st. So click the link in the description to get your account set up right now. Heck yeah, they're actually a really cool service. Thanks for your time, everybody. Thanks for watching it. I wanted to do something with them because I felt like it really would help you. I really try and choose all of these brands that sponsor these streams and these videos that best support what we're all trying to do together. So I really take a lot of pride in hand selecting all of these. I don't want to just serve you guys ads that don't make sense. So this one is a good one because we're all trying to render some stuff for this challenge by August 1st. So check it out. They got, if you spend $10, they'll give you an extra $10. If you verify your phone number, like you heard, you get an extra $5. So that's plenty of time, plenty of render tokens to render your submissions. So one of y'all guys asked if you wanted to see the submission or the art that I did last week. So let me play that for you real quick. And then we're going to hop into it. Let me just open it up here on my, let me try and find this thing. Let's see here. Let's navigate to it. I made like an ice machine. You kind of saw it there in the ad. But let's see. Going to the art, VFX, render. Here we go. All right, so it's a little ice box. This was just I did this on the last stream, completed the whole thing minus the render itself. But it was really fun. I learned a lot while doing it. We all learned a lot together. And I think it turned out pretty cool. It was like a fun little slide, an ice maker, an ice machine. If I wanted this to be my final submission, I'd probably do a lot more to the texturing. I'd grunge it up. I'd, switch up some stuff. I'd add a lot more detail. But this was just an example to give you guys a really, just a cool idea of what we're trying to create here. You can see how it all loops together, and each one of these little boxes will be a different submission from y'all. So that's what we doing. And today, I'm making this. God, this is gonna be ridiculous. This is so detailed. Oh boy. Oh man, thank you all for the super chats. I really appreciate you. Shout outs from Melbourne, Australia, and Frost TK Oi. Y'all are great. Thank you so much for the super chats. It's very helpful. But let's start creating. I'm gonna show you a couple of the things that I'm gonna use to get this going. So right here we have our template scene. You can download it on the PNY landing page. Just click the link to the Dynamic Machines announcement video. From there, you can follow along completely. Everything's in the description of that video. There's just a good number of rules, so you want to make sure you follow them pretty closely. Technically, you got to just make sure technically you're all set up, because you know it'd be real easy to screw this up and have your puzzle piece essentially not fit the big puzzle. You got to have your puzzle piece fit the big puzzle. And as long as you follow the rules, you'll be all right. Evolver Interactive, shout outs, man. Good to see you again, as always. He's a regular. He loves helping out the community. He's doing cool stuff. Always appreciate the support, man. Shout outs, brother. Awesome, awesome. Oh, we got Mr. Clay too up in here. He won second place for the Alternate Realities Challenge. I'll be seeing you at Camp MoGraph. Pretty sweet. There's actually a nice little coincidence there. Martin, thanks for the 5 pounds, actually. Very nice. Heck yeah. How's it going? It's going well, man. It's going very well. Streaming's always a little stressful. I want to feel like I can offer as much value as possible to you guys and have it be as entertaining and whole and complete as possible. But there's just no way we're going to finish this on the stream. So we're going to get as far as we can and just help you all out as much as possible. But this will be my official submission. I'm starting it now. So if y'all are just doing the same, don't worry. It's not too late. All right. Let's see. We almost got 900 people up in here. Heck yeah. All right. So how am I going to build this ridiculous contraption? Am I going to model all this by hand? Probably not. I'll model some of it by hand, but not all of it. A lot of it can be sourced and kitbashed from a couple different packs. Let me show y'all. So the first one is actually really cool. It's a free one, and this is not a sponsor or anything. This is just a really cool resource. So there's this site called McMaster Car, and they sell a bunch of like machined parts and whatnot. And not all the parts, but a lot of the parts actually have CAD models that come along with them. So let me show you how this works. If you go to the main page, mcmastercar.com, you can find like a screw and a bolt, you know, and they have every possible thing. It's ridiculous. Let's grab a standard socket head screw or something, maybe this one here. And if you click on the model number, you actually get, by product details, the CAD file right here. And for C4D, the IGES file works the best. I tested them all. IGES. So I'm going to download that to my desktop and drag and drop it into C4D. Now. Bam. And you got a screw ready to use. It comes in a bunch of pieces, so I'll just Control A it, right click, and we'll connect objects plus delete. Now it's a whole object. And because a lot of the parts are kind of overlapping, we have a lot of overlapping points. I'm just going to select all the points, hit 0, do a box selection. And you can see up in the top left points, we have 3,600 points roughly. But if I optimize this, you can right click and hit optimize down here, or always learn your shortcuts, UO. Bam, you can see that went from 3,600 points to 2,900 points. So it just got rid of any duplicate points that are on top of each other. If you're not seeing this little dialog box up here, you can hit Alt-V, go to HUD, and you can check the, where are you? Filter? Yeah, it's under Filter. No, it's not. Where is it? View, HUD? I think I had it right the first time. Where the heck is it? Camera distance, selected points. There we go. Selected points, selected edges, selected polygons, selected n-gons. It's also a good way to know what your FPS is. So let's see, where are you? Frames per second, you can check that and see how your performance is doing, you know? Lots of good stuff to check on here and reference as you work. So that's just a quick way. I'll be grabbing a bunch of parts for this ridiculous, super detailed reference. Otherwise, you know, you can use like cgtrader.com. There's a bunch of, like, if you type in tech parts, kitbash or something like that, there's a bunch of different packs you can use. And a lot of you probably know about, bam, the man himself, Vitaly Bulgarov. is a super incredible 3D modeler and artist. He puts together all these kit bashing tools, so we can use a lot of this to create that super detailed reference that we'll be doing on the stream today. So I'm using these parts, I'm using the McMaster car parts, and I'll be modeling some stuff that needs to be hand modeled to achieve this look. So where the heck do we even start? This is ridiculous, right? It's a whole lot of stuff. Maybe we can start with the outer edges where all these pipes are running down the back. We can just start with pipes. Like literally, I could spend this whole stream just doing pipes. We'll see where it takes us. What's the best way to do some pipes here? So pipes, we might be able to make ourselves. Let me get back to the chat. See how y'all doing. Eat. Oliver, yo, Oliver, thank you for the super chat. Recently came back to your channel after you left Corridor, saw Carbon Warfare so many years ago. Inspired to learn to create photorealistic renders from absolutely no experience. Wish me luck. Dude, I wish you luck. I have a stream or two a ways back. The thumbnail is like a doorknob. I recreate a doorknob. I also recreate a teapot. Photoreal recreation. I take a picture and I recreate the whole thing in a few hours and get a final result on the stream. So those are two good ones for you to follow. I go over everything: texturing, modeling, lighting, matching up your photo, your reference photo to what you're actually creating. And yeah, that'd be a really good resource for you. But yeah, man, it's really fun. I love 3D. You know, you're only limited by two things: your technical ability and what you can imagine. So that's pretty powerful. If you're good enough in 3D, you can create anything you want, anything you can imagine, and you're only limited by your imagination. And that's huge. That's why I love it. Martin, I see you, man. Thanks for the extra five pounds. Appreciate it. All right. First Vault Dweller. Yo, man. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. Sweet. Welcome, everybody. Welcome from Corridor. We're at 893, almost at 900. Let's see if we can get recreating this thing here. Let me switch over to my stream view. And I'll just dock this right up in here for quick reference. All right. Let's get so many things we can go over. So many things we can go over. Lighting, modeling, texturing. But I'm just gonna work on this and just kind of shout it out as we go. I guess the first thing I'll do, let's see if we can't get some lighting that looks kind of nice and a background on this box. Set the playing field, you know? So I'm gonna make sure this is all saved. You don't want your stuff to crash on you. Make sure you're saving iterations too. That means like a V1, a V2, a V3. Don't save over the same file all the time. Submission 3, V1. Yep, we're good for now since we haven't done anything. Let's render this and let's scale it down here so we can see what's going on. I'll make this a little bigger for y'all. All right. So let's see if we can't put this NVIDIA Quadro RTX A6000 to the test. 48 gigabytes of VRAM. Let's see if we can max it out with this image right here. Oh, goodness. All right. So let's grab an HDRI. I love Grayscale Gorilla. They have the best assets and stuff for C4D. So I'm gonna make an Octane Sky, and I will add an HDRI link plus tag. I'll click my environment tag and drag the texture dialog into this HDRI tag here. And we can open their library and choose from any number of amazing HDRIs. It's integrated straight into C4D. They are the best. We want something a little front lit. It looks like, let's see here. guess we can grab any one of these. I think one of them is tinted like blue, and yeah, this one right here. And we can orbit this with the environment tag so that the orange is facing front, just like that, I'd say. And we can bring the power down to 0.5, or we can also do that from the camera. If I right click the camera, let's give it an Octane camera tag. Go to the camera imager tab, we'll enable that. And I usually like to switch over to linear, change my gamma to 2.2, and then let's crank up the highlight compression so we save those highlights. You can bring down the exposure just a little bit. And let's give this a metal texture. So same deal. Grayscale Gorilla plus library. We'll hit up their textures, materials rather, tech products, and let's just try out a few different ones. Let's see, something. What do we want to do? So many options. Sandblasted aluminum. What does that look like? Okay, maybe something a little brighter. Steel connector, perhaps. I'm just drag and drop on this thing. Steel connector, actually, that's pretty close. You know, like the color temperature can be different, but I'm not trying to go exact on it. I just want to get something to set us up with. And it looks like we need a few more samples on this thing, don't we? I'll go to my Octane camera settings, or Octane settings rather, and I'll just hit it at 1000. And the texture is looking a little large, but it doesn't quite matter at this point. We just have this to block things out with. It's feeling really cool. So I'm gonna get up in here, load it with some pipes. We got these pipes on the side that we can do that run from top to bottom. We got some smaller pipes going along the back. Like, this is absolutely absurd. We can also block out our modules too, and our different islands of detail. So we got, like, essentially we'll block it out, right? We'll block this out, and then we'll add pipes leading to these little pieces. And we can always change it later too, so we can move these pipes around, move the pieces around based on how we want the ball to fall and go through this contraption. So I'm going to essentially turn this into a contraption. So we can pause the render. We don't really need it now. Awesome. All right. We got Ronan in the chat, one of our mods. Shoutouts, Ronan. Super good dude. Thanks for holding it down. We might have a couple others. We might have visual up in here somewhere as well. But all right. Let's see. How do we want to proceed? Save our stuff. Figure out what kind of pipes we want. Let's maybe block it out. So I'm just going to use some cubes. Hit T for scale. And scale this down. NB. Turn on your change your shading mode, so you can go to display, change all these displays. It makes it a little easier to see. And let's hop out of the camera and block out some of these modules. Now maybe something like this and like this. I have a few different pieces, like this blue piece, circular piece up here, the circular piece down here. And I'm not trying to get this exact, but more of just a general look and feel. And this might be even going a little too far, but it might help us out just so we can connect some pipes to something. Make a cylinder, and these are all just placeholders. 90 degrees this way. Let's make it a little flatter here. That's perfect. Get this up and back. Nice. Control drag to duplicate. Get that down there. And we got some side pipes we want to work in. So let's make a new cylinder, hit T for scale again. And let's bring this diameter down, or the radius rather. Push this back into the box just a bit. Yeah, we have a bunch of different pipes running through this thing. Control drag over here, perhaps. And maybe we build out a pipe and we use that as like our main pipe. So it looks like these pipes on the left and right are fairly similar, and we can get more detailed as we go. But I think the best approach for this, because technically we could do this one of two ways. We could build the contraption first and then build the environment around the contraption. And I'm kind of imagining this style as both the contraption and the environment around the contraption. But we can't really do anything until, how do I want to phrase this? I'm going into this with half knowing what I'm doing and half not knowing what I'm doing. The knowing part is I want it to look like this. The not knowing is specifically how I want the ball to go through this contraption, right? So I know I need to build pieces like this. I could use this to, recreate these pieces perfectly. I also don't, I could, eyeball it and just get different parts and stuff and source different parts. But then it's a question of where do I put those parts if, for example, we're not doing it exactly like this. So the parts need to be sourced. That's a guarantee. That needs to happen. And then deciding how those parts work with each other is probably the next step. So maybe what we do is we build out the big pieces. For example, if I were to break this down, let me open up Photoshop for y'all real quick and show you what I'm thinking. Visualize what I'm thinking here, because I think this will be helpful for everybody. So let's see here. If we can determine what the big general pieces are, then we can figure out how these pieces are tied together with detail. Because, like, check this out. Basically what we have here are, I'm seeing this piece, this looks like the same piece but flipped. I'm seeing this piece right here. I'm seeing these two pieces. Those are kind of the main pieces. That's what I'm seeing as the large detail pieces. Obviously, we have this pipe that's connecting things. And this is, like, I'd say a medium detail piece right up in here. But as far as the main detail goes, I'm looking at like 4 to 5 different modules. And these modules are kind of what all these other pieces are looking towards. So I'm imagining this, right? So all of these, I'll include this as well, right? This piece here. And is there anything else we can include? Maybe this one down here, right? So these are like the main points of this entire art of this scene. And everything else literally everything else is like, if I were to gray this out for you and just visualize this for a moment, let's do this, right? Let me make a mask on this. And if we paint with a black brush, we'll essentially erase this, right? So everything that I'm not erasing is just filler. And is literally just detail, right? So I don't know if that's necessary. I think that stuff can come later. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't make sense to focus on that ancillary stuff first. I think it makes the most sense to focus only on these main pieces first and foremost right here. Let me grab a G for the paint bucket. Oh, it's gradient right now. Bam. I'll get like a dark gray on this or something. Boom. So like these kind of pieces are the main ones that I'll probably want to start with. Building out these main modules. And then like the smaller detail on these will be how the ball actually goes through our scene and how the ball interacts with these pieces here, right? And then once you have the contraption working and it's working properly, then I'll come back and just worry about, you know, everything else, all the other stuff in the background. So I think that's what I'll focus on today on the stream, is just knocking out these main modules, and we'll get as far as we can. We got some super shouts. Some super shouts. I like that. Let's see. Would it be cheating to project the picture onto the shape and cut out the pieces you want to extend? No, that's the Ian Hubert style. I'd say go for it. Absolutely. What if the large shiny circles had a ball cut out and caught the ball, spun around just enough to drop the ball out? Yep. Totally imagining something like that. Absolutely. And Brian Ash, yo, huge thanks for that super chat. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much. Interesting. My camera is dead. Let me fix that for y'all real quick. You know, it happens. Having a stream without any technical difficulties is a miracle. So it happens. It happens. But back to Brian. So what you and Quadro do in the world of VFX inspired me to get into the field myself. Awesome. Heck yeah. I have no experience and I really don't know where to start, but I am a very quick learner. What would you recommend I start with? Yo, great question. Okay, so Blender is free. Okay, I'm using Cinema 4D. It is a paid program, but I think if you're a student, it's free. So I've heard. C4D and Blender are like the main ones really right now. You have programs like Maya and 3ds Max and Unreal Engine. You can get into Unreal Engine, but that's deep. But if you want to get into Blender, I would highly suggest Blender Guru has, you know, every tutorial ever for Blender, getting started in Blender. The donut tutorial, it's infamous. Ian Hubert is also another really amazing Blender artist to follow. Those are the two that I can guarantee speak to. Does Default Cube use Blender? I think so. That would be a good one. And that's really how you learn. If you want to learn C4D, personally, the way I learned was from David Ariev through his Octane tutorials, his C4D Octane tutorials. I learned through Grayscale Gorilla. That's like the main one. And I learned through iDesign. I like your eyeball. iDesign, EJ, right? So I learned from those three for C4D stuff and a number of other, you know, not random, but like different people, but those are the main ones. And I just follow the tutorials that you love, that are really fun, that inspire you, that make you want to make more stuff. And join this challenge. Challenge yourself. learn Blender. It's free. You can get it like right now. And have a good time. Nay is suffering from creative block. That is totally a thing. Absolutely happens. And yeah, let's see. What can we say about creative block? So getting away from the creative thing is a good thing. Sometimes if you're stuck and you just find that you're just trying over and over and nothing's coming to you, walk away, take a break, go on a walk. That's the first thing I'll do is I'll go on a walk or really just work out, do something active, go outside, and get away from the creative process for as long as you need until ideas start coming to you. That's kind of like my first thing that I'll do if I'm stuck on something. Other than that, yeah, I'd say just go like hang out with friends, watch movies, do something other than what you're trying to do, and the inspiration will come in time. It will come, maybe in the shower, perhaps. But yeah, you can't have ideas flowing all times. I also have art books. That's what I get a lot of my inspiration from, art books and music. So right now, I'm listening to my ambient playlist on Spotify. It's like linked in some of the earlier streams. I don't have a link right now, but yeah, I listen to ambient music. I listen to music that inspires me to create stuff. I got art books in the closet back here. The picture that I am trying to, roughly recreate is from one of those art books. And I flip through that and I'll just get filled with ideas like this is the coolest thing ever. I love playing video games too. That's a great way for me to get inspired, watching movies. So, yeah. Best of luck to you. Let's get back to it. All right, so we decided we want to make these pieces here, and I'll generally recreate these pieces as I see them here on the page. So let me screenshot this. And in fact, I don't even need those either. And I'll drop this up in here. All right. So let's see if we can't kitbash any of these pieces as a quick starting method here. I have those Vitaly Bulgarov kitbash pieces here. And what I don't want is for this to be a Vitaly Bulgarov kitbash piece. I don't want that to be a thing. Mainly because his stuff is so well used on the internet and so recognizable at this point. I want it to feel a bit more unique than that, So I'll use the pieces sparingly. Or at least in a way that it doesn't look like the kitbash of a Vitaly Bulgarov kitbash demo. You know what I mean? Let's start with this main piece right here. So to me, that just looks like a bunch of cylinders and cubes. And we could probably spend an entire stream modeling this ourselves. So let's see how far we get. Anything cylinder-wise, cylinders. So we have some stuff here. Very techy looking. I want to go for something a bit more plain. Maybe we do build this out ourselves. Maybe this is just me struggling to 3D model again. It's a fairly simple piece to create up here. But getting everything to mesh together like this and seem like one piece is it will be interesting. I think maybe we can use a metaball situation or perhaps voxel modeling to build this up and actually have it feel like one seamless piece. Because the perfectionist in me really wants to make this one seamless piece. That way, you got all your bevels and everything, and it just looks super nice. Andre, yo, thank you for the super chat. Very kind of you. Much appreciated. Shout outs. Awesome, awesome. Oh, snap. Dan, yo. My goodness. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Let's see what Dan. Oh, God, I keep bringing this up on X. Get this out. Dan, okay, so hey, Clint, my current contract requires me to work 11 hours a day, 7 days a week. Is that what that means? But I've managed to squeeze in a couple hours most nights for the challenge. Yes, yes, yes. It's great to take some time to do something more fun. Thank you for throwing these together. Absolutely, man. That is the whole point of this channel, is to learn and grow together and be inspired through that process. So I'm really glad that you're taking that extra time to focus on the stuff you love doing. It is very important. Got to do what you love. Got to do what you love. So thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Dan. I appreciate it very much, man. All right. Back to it. God dang. I'm alive. All right. Here we go. How do I want to do this? Do we want to build it from scratch? It's more fun that way. Let's do it. Rip. Because it's going to take a minute. All right, here we go. I'll start with a cylinder. Let's start with the old cylinder. Scale it down. We'll worry about how big all this stuff is later, okay? And let's go ahead and bring the height down. Something like that. And that's about all we need to do for this piece. NB. N is in Nancy, B is in boy. That's going to bring up your different shading mode here so you can see the actual lines on this thing. Segments, 0. Rotational segments, 32 is probably fine. All right. And let's make this editable. All right, we can do this a bunch of different ways. I'll spend a few different ways creating this. Let's take this top piece out, and I wonder if, what is a matrix extrude? Is that what we need? Oh my goodness. All right, so how about we don't do it per piece? Is it really the whole thing, huh? Like every little piece just comes out like that? Very interesting. Steps, 8 steps. Now we can probably do this a little bit more simply. Let's go ahead and extrude this. Just D. I'm gonna hit D. I'll bring this up to about there, and let's give it like 8 subdivisions. Cool. And then what we can do is hopefully with a soft selection, we can scale this down. I'll hit T for scale. And if we scale this, right, I want it to scale like this little ramp. So we can hit T for scale, enable soft selection, and let's see if we can't just take the radius down to like 20 centimeters. So you see where I'm getting at? But we just need to invert that. So would it be circle? Kind of would be circle, huh? And I know there's probably better ways to do this. Like, that's pretty close. Something like that. And maybe we can take that radius up to 20. Or maybe even 30. What does 30 do? You say beveling would be better. I wonder. So let's do this version here. Something like that. And then we could maybe before we do that, just to compare it, let's see, we saw what that looked like. If we bevel it, MS, get that up there. We'll go 8 subdivisions. And let's see, is there a shape on this? Oh, we can go profile, user, and draw our own shape up here. Okay. So maybe we get rid of these points. Control click to make our own points. I wonder why it's popping out in the middle like that. I want it to go in. Maybe it's because I need to actually bring this down to about there. And try and just get a gradual swoop on this. Now, I don't know why on earth it's doing this. Yeah, I have no idea. That's just linear. Interesting. Okay. Huh. There we go. Okay, so if we go negative on it, I feel like the only way to really get this shape is to... All right, so we're getting close. And I want to push this down a little bit. About there. Yep. And then we can just bring everything up. So I'll hit W, get our move tool. And let's go ahead and extend the move tool. 20 centimeters, linear. Something like that, perhaps. So that took quite a while. I think you could probably just do it manually by hand. It'll be a little bit faster. But let's make some cuts in this thing. So KL, line tool, bam. Bam. All right, so we have a nice little cut there. And then it looks like there's a cut up top. Right up in here. And at the very top, probably here and here. So these pieces can be, let's see, UL is your loop selection. We turn off soft selection, drop that down. We want these little cuts to be pretty small. And we can hit UL in polygon mode Holding shift, we'll grab all these little pieces here. I'm gonna hit D. We're gonna extrude. We don't need all the subdivisions. Zero that out. Peel that down. And now we have these little cuts, little rivets inside of this piece here. Now I wanna smooth this out. We wanna bevel it. So let's throw a bevel modifier on it. I like using the bevel modifier. I'm gonna select everything, or actually wait, let's run into the problem before we do anything like that, just to show you what's happening. Deathstroke got the brownies, heck yeah. Go for a brownie right now. All right, with the cylinder selected, hold shift, drop the bevel modifier on it, and let's just set it. It looks weird right now, right? It's because things are all off, because our offset needs to be a little smaller. 0.1 centimeter, let's zoom in and see what is actually happening. 0.05, there we go. 0.08, and then we'll give it like 3 subdivisions, so it's a bit rounded. Right, so we have a nice smooth surface there. And maybe we can bring up these bits here. I'm gonna hit 0, select these points, and 0 brings up your rectangular selection, the rectangle selection, and then that by default cuts through all the points in the back. It selects everything. So we got a piece here. We can render this. Let's see. Come on, Octane. Are we gonna crash already? Let me just copy this into our scene. So notice here that when I pasted this in here, oh my goodness, it pasted all that stuff. Never mind, I don't want that. I want to copy this, paste it in, perfect. We can solo these 2 bits. Try the render again. And if we drop one of them grayscale gorilla textures on this thing, some sort of painted metal. There's something in here. Their tech products kit is amazing. Rubber cord, metallic speaker suspension. Interesting. Metallic plastic. It looks a little low poly. You could probably make a couple more cuts in there to even that out. Oh, that's super cool. Ah, I love that. That's amazing. Steel connector. So it's just creating a bunch of pieces and sourcing a whole bunch of pieces to get this look. So let me see if I can't continue building this out and kit bashing this stuff. Nexib, yo, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for these great contests. So much learning and inspiration pushes me to do more 3D work in my spare time, and I'm sure many others. Man, yes. It really is a blast. Seeing your guys' submissions coming in over the next 2 weeks, I guess. Or a week. It'd be 1 week. Yeah, a week and a day. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what y'all put together. So good. And Derek Para, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. I missed you. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining me. Nice, we're going strong. 880 of y'all up in here watching me fail at 3D modeling. Let's see. Let's keep it simple. Let's go with a block out. A simple block out. And then we can just get more detailed as needed. So I'm just looking at this and imagining what it's gonna look like. This looks like it's pressed up against the edge here. And maybe it looks something like this. And we can bevel this down. MS is your bevel tool. But we want to reset. We want to go back to default settings. What's the best way to do this? Zero subdivisions. Zero tension. Yep, and that gives us what we want. Something like that. Give a little bit of thickness on there. And we can make all these detail cuts later. Let's just get the block out first. All right, it looks like there is another set of cuts here, KL. Maybe before I do that, we make these cuts, bam, down the center. I'll add one. I'll select both. And we can extrude, let's see, make another. What's the best way to make a cut here? That back down. Boom. Add up just a little bit. And it looks like there's another cube on this thing. And I'm going to go back in here later, probably not on the stream, but I'm going to detail all this out, make sure it looks good. My topology may not be the best, but as long as it looks good, that's what we want. Let's get this in here. Looks like that's right up in there. Oh, here's a tip for you. If I select this cylinder, hold control, make the cube will spawn right on the cylinder. So that way you know it's centered up perfectly. And I'll scale this down. It looks like as much as possible. So it comes right up to the edge. Just like that, nice and flush. There's a couple bolts on it, but again, that's detail that we'll get later. We're doing a block out right now. Looks like there's some sort of like cylinder piece that comes up and out. So let's utilize the sweep method. Let's grab the spline pen, go into our side view. What is the correct side view on this? Would it technically be, yeah, I guess it would be from here. I'll hide the camera so we can see a little bit better. I'll make three points, 1, 2, and 3. And I'll make sure these are stacked right on top of each other by hitting T for scale, holding shift, and bringing this all the way down to 0. You can see how you zero it out, they'll be stacked right on top of each other. And technically this needs to come up right to this one here. So we can select this spline, set it to 0 on the Y. We'll select this point and set it to 0 on the Y as well. We know everything is nice and uniform. Then what we can do is actually chamfer this. So I'm going to select this point, right click chamfer, and drag it out somewhere like this is probably good. From here, all we need to do is make a circle spline. I'll scale it down with T. And it doesn't need to be in any certain position. It just needs to be the right size. It's a size reference. And we're going to take both the spline and the circle spline and put it into a sweep object. I don't know if it's a modifier or a technical name. A sweep object. Yeah, I had it right. Drop those in there. Switch the order around. There you go. Right, it's taking up the shape, and the circle determines how big that is. And we can adjust the spline to, do whatever we want. Wonton, yo, thank you for the super chat. Very generous donation from you. Heck yeah. Wonton says, absolutely love the streams and the vibe. I'm a software engineer and have zero interest or knowledge in doing 3D modeling myself, but your streams are the perfect thing to watch while I'm working. Keep them coming. Heck yeah. That's great. I love it. I'm glad that I'm giving you a little bit of entertainment while you're working. It means a lot. That's super cool. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the support. Shout outs to you. Let's keep blocking this thing out. Working from basically as broad strokes as possible down to the details. I think I got a little too detailed in the beginning there. All right. What is next? We have a giant cube thing down here. So let's make a cube, hit T, scale it down, and we'll shape it out. Somewhere down here. It looks like the cube only goes as far as that back bevel, but I could probably make it editable by hitting C. Let's grab this face here and pull it back to this point. We want to round out the back of this thing, so the quickest way to do that, KL, hold shift till you snap to these points. We'll go right in the middle. We'll make probably 5 cuts. Let's grab this point or this line here. W, right? So that changes between world and local orientation. For this specific situation, that doesn't really matter. But let's go to the move tool, enable soft selection, set this to circle perhaps. Pull it out just a little bit. You can see how that gets us that rounded shape in the back. Nice and subtle. And it looks like there's some sort of plate coming off the side of this thing. So I'm going to KL cut right in there. Grab these points. We don't need soft selection anymore. Let's disable that. And we'll grab all these bits right up in here. Hit D. Extrude them. And let's bevel out this top and bottom. MS. With a couple, we want a couple subdivisions, 3 perhaps. But we want it to be rounded 50% tension, 50, 100%. I believe, yes. All right, so it's just a general shape. Build this thing out. Brian, what is up? Shout outs, man. Thanks for the super chat. Awesome, man. So it says, by the way, I'm working on an art project, making personalized pieces for each member of the Quadro crew. Awesome. I'd like to have each piece include their favorite quote. Can you help me? Ooh, favorite quote. I think Griffin's would have to be gotcha. Definitely. He would like that. Nico's favorite quote. Maybe something along the lines of the perfect camera. What else? What else would Nico say? Yeah, I think something along the lines of the perfect camera. Sam would have to be like something about his soul being as dark as night. Ren, what would Ren say? Ren would eat whatever if you have a camera around, Ren will eat whatever you have on camera. It doesn't matter. He will drink it. He will eat it. It doesn't matter if it came from the street, the gutter, or someone's armpit. He will eat it. I don't know what that gets you. I don't know what that gets you. Daniel would have to be something along the lines of like, let's do a segment. Do you have time for a segment? Nick would have something to do with shrimp. Natalie would be like, I could probably solder that. Jake, something to do with an ad. You know, today's sponsor is something like that. And for me, I don't know, man. You have to figure that one out. Who else? Who else? That's about all I got for you. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. All right. Yes, I was going to say, look at that neck, Chris. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to say it. You said it. Thank you. Okay. Let's make some more pieces here. So it looks like we have some sort of cube object. Boom, right up in the center back part of this thing. What up, son? That's Brett, though. What up, son, is Brett. That is all Brett. Let's hold control. Let's make a disc. We'll make a cylinder. We'll scale it down. Press R, holding shift to rotate 90 degrees. Let's bring this down like this. Even smaller. That's a tiny little piece. Scale it up. Push it back. Something like that. It's got holes cut in it. That's detail work. You know, that's a bunch of detail work. It's bugging me, so I'm going to bevel this thing. Here. Just here. MS. Bevel. Done. You know, if y'all saw my functional filmmaking episode on corridordigital.com, it's very similar. I made a film camera just like this. I blocked it out and then built it out, did the detail from there. Let's do another cube. I'm going to get this metal piece here. Let's do another cube here. Holding control with that cube selected, so we spawn it on the cube. I'm going to flatten it up. And let's make it editable. KL. Edge mode for the loop cut. Bam. Go ahead and scale this face down. Key for scale. Scale it down just like so. And let's go ahead and bring this out. Point mode, 0 for rectangle selection. Grab all them points. Looks like this comes out beyond this bit. Key for scale. Open it up. And let's go ahead and just grab these 2 points. Push them back. Yeah. Just like that. Okay, so now what we need to do is actually redo this bit here. UI will grow the selection. Grab all these bits, holding shift. I'm gonna delete them. And I'm going to bridge all these pieces just to patch it up. Let's get rid of the grid. We don't need it. Work plane, up by filter, work plane. And I solo this by hitting this solo button, the S, the gold S, orange S. In edge mode, we'll hit NB for the bridge tool. Or sorry, MB. Mandy, monkey, membrane. M. Let's grab all these. Patch it up. And we just want the subtlest of extrudes. So it doesn't cut through all that, you know? So hit D, we'll extrude that point. And let's grab these bottom points here. 1. MS for bevel, and we'll just bevel that down. Okay, so now it's looking a little bit more accurate. Now we need to make some cuts in this metal piece here. So, polygon mode. Solo it, and let's make some cuts. KL. Ah, interesting. You see how it's tapered? We don't want that. So what I'll do to fix that taper is go into point mode, hit 0, grab one side, scale for T, hold shift, bring those points to 0, T for scale, hold shift, 0 it out, and now it's normal. And that happened because basically when you scale something right here, it scales it uniformly on all axes. If you wanted to just scale it on one axis, so it's the X axis that's choking it like that, right? So we would deselect the X and scale, and then it would scale properly how we want it to scale. Technically, it's just a Z or a Y scale. All right, so we need to make those cuts, right? So KL, loop cut, I'll hold shift. We will make a, what's the best way to do this? Probably a knife tool, huh? Line cut, hold shift, bam, bam. Did that cut through everything? No, it did not. So we need to make sure that does. What we'll do for that is go into polygon mode, line cut, and we want to, let's see, uncheck visible only. Holding shift to keep those lines straight, and that should cut through everything. Yep. We want those two cuts there. We'll grab them, UL, loop selection, and bring them down. Then I want to make sure it's centered, so I'll eyeball it. Probably right there, centered. And we'll make a cut out here as well. And finally a cut. Ooh, I see what it's doing. Okay, we'll make a cut right here. And we'll take these 2 points. Hit T for scale. And drop them down, so that those bits are flat. Then I'll select everything that needs to be extruded, hit D, and we will extrude a little bit. And then we just want to select, it looks like based off of the reference, I just want to select these bits and we'll extrude again. And finally, actually, I'll do it like this. I'll just grab this one. We'll extrude that. And I'll grab this one and extrude that even more. And it looks like this is being cut down with a bevel. One there, one there. We'll hit MS and 0 subdivisions. Something like that is generally what that piece is looking like to me. Right? So we have our, let's save this thing. Just realized, yeah, we hadn't even saved this thing. Sub 3, module 1. And let's just start color coding this. So that's gold, We'll do this as like a yellow. Or diffuse. Bam. We have a silver here and here. So we can just do like a light gray for that. And then we have a blue. Like a faded gray blue. Or everything else. And let's go ahead and copy all this. This will be Control G, no, Alt G. We'll call this module 1. Copy that. Go into our submission, paste it in. And let's scale it up, or down rather. Or where are we? Oh, wow. What? Wait, what? Oh, because we're in solo mode. My goodness, this scared me for a second. Module. Let's bring it up here. Orient it properly. 180. Pop it right up in there. And we have our first block out. First little module piece right in there. The second module we can make from this first one here. We don't really need this render here. We'll pause that. The second one looks very similar. And I just realized I'm missing a piece. So let's finish out this last piece here for our block out. It's this like gear looking piece. So for that, for that, I'll probably do subdivision surface technique. So let's hide the camera. And let's actually select this cylinder right here. Yep. Hold Control. I'll make a polygon. Yep. Hit T for scale. Scale it down. And we're going to do subdivision surface on this. So let's go ahead and crunch it like so. And we want to keep everything as n-gons, or not n-gons. We want to keep everything as quads, meaning 4 sides. Hold Control, make new geometry. And we want to bring this kind of to the back here. Even there'll be one here. And another holding Control, like so. This side, it looks like kind of looking like a Millennium Falcon. And it looks like it's favoring the top just a bit. Maybe for that, we bring it out, up, and we make a cut right there. Let's see what this does when we drop it into a subdivision surface, which is this object right here. And that's going to smooth things out really nicely. It's not going to look low poly. It's actually going to look nice. So let's grab this bit. And we can solo it. Drop it into the subdivision surface. What? That was weird. Okay. I held Alt on the object itself. All right, let's see. I mean, that's pretty darn close for a block out. I'm just gonna give it some thickness. So Control A to select it all, hit D. And I'll show you what happens if we just extrude it like this and then apply the subdivision surface. You can see it's very rounded, looks like a frisbee. We don't want that. We actually want to make some cuts here to make things a bit more rigid. So KL, loop cut, we'll get a cut there, we'll get a cut there, and that sharpens it up pretty nicely on the edges. And let's go ahead and adjust this a little bit more. Something like that. Cube is there, and this piece about there. Something like that. So that's our module 1. Module 2 is very similar. We can control drag this down, and it looks like it's a full flip on this thing. Like symmetry, straight up symmetry on this. So what I'll do is actually hit L here. Let's make this on about this point. We don't need it. I guess it'd be best for viewing. L, bring it down here. We want to drop this into a symmetry object. So let's find symmetry, drop it in, and flip it on the appropriate axis. Okay, so it's way down there, but that's how we want it oriented. All right, so I'm just gonna hit C, make it editable. And let's see if we can't bring out all these pieces. We want all of this minus the octane sky. Come out and be oh, it's the same object. Okay, let's go back. I want to split these up into 2 separate pieces quite simply. The best way to do this. I mean, we could just, you know, do this. Drag symmetry. So it's something like that. Very similar. Yeah, so I don't even know what this machinery is. If I had to reference it in the book, I don't know where the book is at this point, but it's like some sort of, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what this was. All right. So it looks like that's about exactly what we want. Maybe minus this one little dingling piece. But that feels pretty good to me. This giant disc back here is a very simple setup. That looks to me like a cylinder like we currently have. We can crunch it down a little bit. We can get rid of those height segments, give it a bit more rotational segments, make it editable. Let's grab all of these faces, and we want to extrude inner, so that's MW, or you can right click and select extrude inner, bam. Bring it in just a little bit. D for extrude, and push it out just a hair, because we want to have some bolts and whatnot on the outside of that. And you can even bring that in a bit more if you want. So we can just undo MW, bring it in, D, bam, for extrude. Give it a little bit of something. This we can delete. And let's control drag this down. Awesome. All right, let's get rid of this box. So it'd be sweet to have these, like, the ball go through this contraption, rolls over, and it hits this, like, wheel piece that sends it around in a circle down. It bounces, it hits this thing, goes into this machine perhaps, and, like, maybe this cube rotates a little bit, and it rotates with this piece maybe. So like these guys could be together, and this goes like, and it turns into like a balancing thing where the ball lands on it, and no matter where the ball is, it kind of guiding it like this, and it pushes it down maybe into a tube on this side, which will be this next module perhaps, and it goes through some sort of system here, maybe up through a pipe and down next to this one, and it hits this and rolls onto this wheel and leaves the contraption. And like we can have a bunch of dials turning and whatnot, and electrical parts surging as it goes through, and maybe something happens to the ball perhaps, I don't know, or maybe it's just simply a contraption. We could also have the ball like trigger a bunch of other things perhaps, but in its simplest form, like I think that could be pretty sweet. Sai Sharon, welcome back. Good to see you again, man. Hey Clint, how are you? Good to see you and excited for the result. Me too. I can't wait. I love biting off way more than I can chew. I love a good challenge. So for me, this is going to be an incredible, like, just detail modeling. It's just boring work at a certain point. It's boring work. I couldn't imagine how it would be fun to watch me just sit here modeling a tiny module and have 0.5% of the whole thing done. You know, it'd be ridiculous. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this. Thanks for the super chat, Sai. Good to see you, man. Did I miss any? I don't think so. No, we good. How's everyone doing? Y'all having a good time? We are an hour and a half through the stream right now. It is 12:19 in Los Angeles. And we're still going. Good times. Listening to a little bit of Ryuichi Sakamoto and Alva Noto up in the Bone Phones. I love their stuff. They put out some really great work. Heck yeah. Rocking and rolling today, Derek. Good to hear. Very good to hear. It's a good day. It's going to be a good day. After the stream, I'm going to go rock climbing. Outdoor rope climbing. Very excited for that. I've been doing it probably once a week for the last 3 months. I'm a big climbing fan. I've probably been climbing for 3 years or so. Mostly like bouldering indoors, but outdoor rock climbing with ropes, that's the way to go. I found it. I've found it. Oh, Ren sent you my way. Very nice. Shout outs to Ren. He's one of my best friends. What a good dude. VFX King, my past self in a corridor vid told you that I was live. Shout outs to my past self. VFX King, shout outs. Muhammad, yo, what's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Very cool. First time tuning into the live stream. Hello from Singapore. I want to go to Singapore. I hear it's the cleanest city in the world. And I hear the airport's pretty cool. And you got that sweet, like, Skytree thing. Yeah, I want to stop by. I love traveling so much. I get a lot of my inspiration from traveling. Taking pictures, doing film photography. I really do enjoy it. It's amazing. I really appreciate y'all joining me. We got 700 people going strong. Heck yeah. If you're here from Corridor, shout outs. Thanks for joining me on the stream. We're creating some cool 3D art today. A very ambitious piece that I will not finish on the stream, but you will see my final once these submissions are due, August 1st, for this Dynamic Machines Challenge. For those of y'all who are just joining and participating in the Dynamic Machines Challenge, we got a submission link. It's official. There's a submission link. You guys have 1 more week and 1 day left to participate or to finish your render. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, there's a link in the description that leads you to my announcement video for the Dynamic Machines Community Render Challenge. You can click that. You'll get everything you need to know. I'm doing my submission. I'm just starting my submission, so it's not too late. I got a week left to do this. It's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, it's good. I'm excited. Thanks for joining me, all. I feel like I'm just rambling now. Let's get back to work. All right. So I'm going to be releasing a Patreon very soon. If things go according to plan, it'll be exactly 2 weeks from now. And I would love to have this project file for you available on that Patreon. With all these hand-modeled pieces. I'm going to try and hand-model all this stuff. We'll see how much time I have, but I think a lot of these different modules can be duplicated. Like I'm seeing a lot of these plugs and stuff can be duplicated back here. You know, this bit here is the same piece. The pipes aren't that bad at all. And it's just basic cylinders and pieces and dedication. Lots of time dedicated to this, which is what it takes to make your stuff look good, you know? Right. Are you allowed to do 2 submissions? Well, technically, since you can only upload 1 submission per your email, you might have to log in through another email to upload another submission. There's nothing wrong with uploading 2 submissions. I would rather you focus on 1 and make it look legit than split your work between 2. But if you really want, I mean, this is my 3rd one technically, so I can't stop you. Make as many as you want. But you can only win once. You can't win first, second, and 3rd place, you know? Samuel, what's up, man? Shout outs. Old school video right there. That's a good one. All right, so a lot of the nuts and bolts I'm going to get from McMaster Car. I think that'll be a really smart way to do it. And just make instances of that same bolt. Let me just show you. Let me show you exactly how I'm going to do it. So let's open up McMaster Car. And we'll get this out of here. And let's find a screw. Let's see. This will probably work for us. Now, a hex screw is probably the way to go. And we can get a combination of a few different ones here, but just to show you an example of how I'm going to do this, let's grab a hex screw. Ooh, there's a lot. Nice. And some of them actually have etchings in them. I like that a lot. Very cool. Let's grab this 8.8. And we'll go to the model number and grab the CAD file. IGES. Download that. Desktop it for now. I don't advise you to desktop everything. And if you hold shift, you can actually bring this object into your current scene rather than it opening a new scene. I'll select all these bits that make up this hex screw, right click, connect objects plus delete, so it's just one object. Hit S to snap to the object. Sweet. This is it, yeah. 8.8, right there. Looks amazing. We can take this, and there's probably going to be hundreds of screws during this whole thing. So let me delete that. Come up in here. Let's grab this screw and see if we can't center it up on this cylinder. So right here on the cylinder, drop it right up in there. S to snap the viewport to the current object you have selected. Let's get this thing right up in the center of this. Technically, I can use the transfer tool, but hey, we just did it there in 2 seconds. And then we'll bring this out about like that. And what we're going to do is use a cloner, a radial cloner, to position this across or around this entire thing. So if you hold Alt, you can, like, what's the best way to explain this? Okay, so here's what I want to do. I'll show you the long way, then I'll show you the short way. So I'm going to make a cloner. Bam, I click the cloner, and then I drag the screw into the cloner. And it's going to clone the screw a bunch of times. You can't see it right now because it's really tiny and all that, but let me show you the fast way. The fast way is to select the screw, hold Alt, and then click the cloner. And automatically the screw is a child of the cloner object. So we want to clone this radially, a radial clone, and the radius we'll set to like 10 centimeters. That way you can see all these screws in a radial pattern, and we'll set it to like, I don't know, 30. But it's going in the wrong orientation, so we want to change the plane. That's perfect. Let's walk the radius in 9 centimeters, 8 centimeters. I actually use this little slider here. Bam, just like that. And then one thing we can do to really add a lot of randomness to this is add a random effector. So if we have the cloner selected, we can hold down this cloner object and select the random effector. And by default, it's randomly positioning all of those screws by 50 centimeters on each axis. But we don't want that. Let's uncheck it. We'll check rotation, and we want to randomly rotate these screws on the correct axis. And it looks like the final one will be our answer. So we can just type in 1080, and it's going to align these screws in different orientations so they all don't look super uniform like this. A bit more handmade to it. And if we hit render after we save, you can see, right, we have essentially, we make a new camera, hop into it, bring down the exposure. A bunch of different screws on this thing. And we'll drop let's drop some textures onto this. If we get up in there, you can see we have a bunch of different screws randomly oriented for best results, right? So that's how I'm going to be doing all the screws on this thing. It's going to be quite tedious, but in the end, it's going to look really cool. I can't wait. All right, let's throw all of our geometry minus the ball and the box into its own folder called Geo. All right, we got a good question from Jazz VFX asking what this glove is. So I get this question all the time, and it is, yeah, it's a drawing glove. So I use a tablet. I don't use a mouse. And my Wacom tablet, it's the Intuos Pro tablet. So an amazing tablet. And without the glove, I could either get sweaty or just the oils, natural oils from my skin can, you know, stop me from gliding over the tablet very easily. So this glove just helps me glide over the tablet really easily. Simply enough. You know, that's it. Quaternius, great name. You're just getting into film photography. Heck yeah. Any tips? Yes, don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid. Grab some Portra 400, 35 millimeter, throw it in your camera, take some shots, get it exposed at a place, and see what happens, all right? Don't worry about ruining your photos. Try and find if you have a camera with a built-in light meter, that's great. Or one thing you can do is actually take your like DSLR, if you have one, and use the settings from your DSLR and transfer them over to your film camera. So referencing the digital where you can actually see your tweaks and moving them over to the film camera. But have fun with it. It's a blast. Once you get into it, just mess with more film stocks and everything. And then eventually you can try developing yourself, but that's much later. Just have fun shooting. Don't worry about ruining any photos. It'll be all right. Back to it. Timney Bilton, thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. No message necessary. Just a straight up support. I really appreciate that. We got visual in the house. One of the mods. Very powerful man. Up here moderating the server, doing big things. All right. Moving on. So detail. Lots of detail. Maybe what we'll do is detail out a piece to show you all what the full detail version will look like and what needs to be done every single time. So maybe like this piece up here. I don't know. What should we detail? There's a lot we can do. All these wires, plugs and stuff. All this stuff can be duplicated very easily. Use instances when you duplicate stuff. Save on VRAM. What would be a fun piece we could make? Like really, this is all very basic stuff. It's just placing it all, which is killer. I think this is the most complicated piece. This one blue piece right here is ridiculously complicated to get as one piece. How I would do that as one piece. I wonder if a meta ball situation would work, or voxel modeling. What's up, Alan? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. All right, so how are we gonna, what do we want to detail model? What do we want to detail? There's so much detail down here. I love the detail. So cool. Make a spring? Oh, you can make a spring pretty easily. What up, Steven? Straight from the React video. Welcome. we're doing some 3D modeling together. We're trying to make this. This is the goal. It's not going to happen on this whole stream, I promise you that. But these are the main modules that we're talking about. Let's see what's good over here. So many dials and knobs, oh my goodness. This is like eons of primitives, just primitives until you're dead. But I love it. I don't know, maybe this little piece, this like little connector piece, that'll be an easy one that we can start with. Control. Now let's keep it in here. Let's make a cylinder. We'll scale it down. Scale it down till it's about the size we want it. Something like that. And then we'll solo it and get up in there. Nice. So this looks to me like a 6-sided situation. So we'll go 6 sides, NB, and yeah, we're good, I think. We can make 3 cuts. Yep. Amazing. Amazing. All right, I think this is a good start. So let's hit D and make it, not D, let's hit C and make it editable. And we're going to turn this into this detailed piece right here, beveled and all. So the first thing I will do, so many different ways to do this. Select the middle piece here, UL with the loop selection, D for extrude, and we can just bring it on in. Something like this. Boom. And we can make 2 cuts, KL. Let's find it. Yeah, let's get up in here. We can make 2 cuts. Let's select this middle bit, 1. We'll give it 2 cuts. Let's select this middle bit, bam. We'll add a cut. So we got 2 cuts going along it. Let's grab the line. In line mode, we'll grab those. Actually, one at a time. We'll hit T. And we'll push it up just like that. Same deal for this one. Push it up. Just like, awesome. And then from here, we can actually take these edges, these 4 edges on the top and bottom, and I just want to taper them just a little bit. Technically, that can be a bevel. So if we scale it, we don't want to scale it on the Y, so let's uncheck Y. Just want to scale it in. Something like that. And let's actually do this with maybe a 100 mil lens. And we'll give, yeah, no, that's nice. That's nice. Let's go up to the top here. We'll select all these polygons, and we're going to extrude inner. That's MW. Actually, in fact, let's do it another way. We'll be fine. We'll extrude inner. D for extrude. We'll push that up. MW, extrude inner again. We will bring that out to about there. Extrude once more. And that should be that. And then essentially what I did down there was bevel everything. So I'm going to do that here too. So UL, we'll select both of those. MS is your bevel tool. You can right click and get all this stuff from here, but gotta learn those shortcuts. Subdivisions 0, and we'll just bevel it. Something like that. So that's about as complex as like most of these shapes get. It's just beveling and extruding. Let's get the bottom of this. MW, and it looks like this one's tapered it a lot more. D, and we'll extrude it just like that. Now, if you want, you can do an extra level of beveling. I don't like to bake in my bevels. So what I'll do is select that cylinder, hold shift, and use a bevel modifier. Now this looks like garbage because you need to just drop your offset. So 0.02. And we can give it like 3 subdivisions and drop that to 0.01 even. 2 subdivisions perhaps, 1 subdivision maybe. It's probably all you need. So that gives it an extra layer of bevelage. And then as far as texturing goes, right, you can see it here. Looking nice. It looks like it's some sort of copper or bronze. So that's just going to be Grayscale Gorilla. Their tech products are killing it. You can just drop something similar on there. And maybe give it a cubic projection. Boom. Pile it way less, so 0.1, 0.1, or maybe I was other way around, 10 and 10. Yep. And we're not going to see this so close like this. It's definitely going to be from like pretty darn far away. And maybe you can take your Phong angle and uncheck this. Turn it to like 20 or 10. Yeah, there you go. That looks a lot better. It's just gonna be this for days. Trying to get this look right, you know? How's it gonna go? This machine is going to be so cool when it's done. I can't wait. That was that one piece. That one piece. We have to do a lot more times to get everything else. All right. I'm just going to keep working on it. Keep doing my thing. Ah. There we go. Sometimes your ref does this thing where the mouse gets all sticky. And I gotta switch over like that, so apologies. All right, there's another little like cable piece down there. We can make that. So see what we can do. Grab the cylinder, hold control, make a cube right on it, scale it down, crunch it down. Thickness is not too much there. And the ball, there'll probably be a section here where the ball is going to roll over this thing. And I can't wait to texture everything. Get the edges looking all nice. Maybe we'll take this piece to completion. All right, so it's looking like I can see the underside of this. And to me, this looks like it's like a hollow piece. We're gonna make this editable. Grab the bottom, MW, extrude inner, and then D, push it up. All right, so we have this like metal tray, but inside are some welded pieces of metal. So that looks to me like that could be a tube with, oh, but I need to spawn it on this. So we select this cube, hold control, make the tube, scale it down with T. And we want to orient it plus Z. Yeah, sure. We can give it 0 height segments and only 4 rotational segments. And we'll rotate it 45 degrees. And let's go ahead and bring this down in something like this. We'll hit C on it, make it editable, and let's move these points around. So let's grab these points. So this is a good example of local and world orientation. So this is local orientation. I hit W and it switches to world orientation because we want to just bring this along these axes here. Same deal. Well, technically, no, we got to do it this way. Bring this over here. And again, there's probably faster ways to do this. There's always a faster way. That's what it looks like to me. Let's go ahead and make a loop selection on it. UL, loop selection, W, bam. And if you want, you can scale this in a bit. That's what that piece is looking like to me. There's some sort of support bar in the back. It's held up by a support bar that is connected to the back of this box. So let's grab this. We'll put the tube inside the cube. Bam. Get it against that back wall and drop it down. Something like that. We'll take the cylinder. We can put the cloner in the cylinder as well as the random modifier. And we'll just move this against the back wall, and this will probably move the ball along this or something. Raj, yo! Welcome, welcome. I know, building mechanical objects can be so tiring, says Sadi T-Boy. Imagine building a space rocket or hovercraft wiring compulsory. Oh my goodness. I think the final result will be incredible, but it's just this like tedious effort required to getting it to look like really, truly incredible. All right, let's bevel this thing with a bevel modifier. We don't want to bake them in, so we're going to use the bevel modifier. Holding shift, we'll drop that bevel modifier in, and let's drop the amount to 0.01. It's a little small, 0.03. What does 0.1 look like? A little too much. 0.05. Yeah, a little bit of bevel. It's going to catch the light really nicely. When will the final result come, Neutral? My final result or all the montages? Well, I'll give you the answer for everything. So, schedule-wise, this is the last live stream for the Alternate Realities Challenge. It doesn't mean it's, well, it kind of is the last week because July 31st is my birthday, but it's also a day where I'm posting a pre-edited video so I can enjoy my birthday. I'm going to teach you guys how to make a concrete texture pack. We're going to go outside, take a bunch of photos of concrete, stitch them together in Photoshop, process them, and make normal maps, specular, diffusion, roughness maps. We're going to make all the maps that it takes to create a texture, and I'm going to show you how to do all that. And at the end of that video, I'm going to be releasing that concrete texture pack. It's going to be called, right now, the current name is Endless Concrete, because my goal was to take photos of massive slabs of concrete that you don't find online and capture them, process them, and make a pack out of them. So that'll be available next week for you guys. It'll be pretty affordable, and I'll have 50% off for the first week, as usual, for all my stuff. If you're on the Patreon, it'll come with it. The Patreon's coming in 2 weeks. So back to the schedule. July 31st, endless concrete texture tutorial. We have what else? The 7th will be the Patreon announcement. That's what I'm announcing. The Patreon will do a big live stream, have a good time. I'll give out some free Patreon stuff and maybe play some Mario Kart, maybe play some Smash Bros, maybe do some modeling. I don't know. We'll have fun with it. I'm still figuring it out. The 14th is when I'm going to announce the winners of this dynamic challenge, dynamic machines challenge. A lot of you said take an extra week to like really look at the winners and everything. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take the extra week. I'm gonna take 2 weeks for it, and then I'll announce the top 100 along with the top 5 winners on the live stream. The following week will be, I believe that's the 21st. The following week, August 21st, I think that's it, on Saturday, will be the top 100 montage. That's when you'll see everything together, and then the week after will be the all renders montage. So it's going to be an awesome week in August. So I look forward to it. So I got to get this thing done in a week's time, huh? Better get back to work. All right. Knocking it out. Oh. So let's texture this thing. Let's texture this thing. I'll solo this with the Octane Sky and the box. Bam. And for the sake of actually viewing this, I'm going to switch my takes. So I want this to look as real as possible. So, based off the reference, it's like a dark gray metal that's scratched on the corners and the edges. So let's do it from scratch. I'll make a glossy material. No, I'll make a metal material. Let's drop that on this cube and let's give it a lot of roughness. 0.5 maybe. Let's take the specular down a little bit. We want that roughness really, really cranked. So 0.1 on the roughness there. Let's see. And let's give this thing, what do we want to do? Let's give this a general bump texture across everything. So I'm going to do this with Octane Noise. It's been a minute since I've textured on the stream. Let's grab some Octane Noise. We'll pipe it into the bump. And I'm going to set this projection up correctly. So projection, let's make a projection node. And always on noise, it's XYZ to UVW. I'll show you the difference. So anytime I'm dealing with noise, I always crank the contrast to 100 so I can see what's going on. And I always change the projection to XYZ to UVW. Transform node, let's bust that out and let's scale it down. Smaller, 0.05. I'll show you what this projection situation does. So if I were to zoom up in here, you see how the noise pattern continues or should continue over the edge. Let me give this a little bit more bevel. 0.05. That looks better. Yeah, you see how the noise actually continues over the edge. But if I set this to box, the projection, you can see how like it doesn't actually continue. It's clipped off. right? You can see a seam there, but if you change to XYZ to UVW, it continues around the edge, continues around the corner, and that's what we want for best results. So we want to give this metal a little bit of bump. So what we'll do is mess with our transform. 0.01, we want to keep it very small. The contrast is ridiculous. If we set it to 0, it's still too much. We want this to be very subtle. Let's change the type to turbulence, maybe circular or chips. I like turbulence. And I think default is fine. We just need to tone it down. So to tone this down, we've toned it down as much as we can, right? We've taken the contrast to 0. I guess we can take the gamma to like 0.1 or 2. But no, that's not going to do what we want. So here's what I'll do. I will make a multiply node between the noise and the bump, right? And then I'm going to give it a float node. And the float is just a number. And the number is going to be our intensity. So if this is at 0, there's no bump. And if it's at 20, it's like ridiculous, which happens to look the same as 1. So it's 0 or 1 and anywhere in between. So I'll keep it subtle. 0.01. Yeah, 0.01. And I can maybe take the scale of this down a little bit more. And we can go 0.005. 0.008 maybe. Perlin might be a little bit better for us. We can take it to 0.01. 0.015. And maybe scale it up just a bit. 0.008. So it's super subtle, and we can adjust that bump depending on what it looks like in our camera. If it looks like just a normal solid in our camera, then we can scale up that bump. I actually have a video, the thumbnail is like a pen and a knife, and I talk about scaling up your detail to match where your camera's at. Technically, it might not be accurate to the object itself, but based on the camera, it'll look real. One second, hold on. All right, the house alarm almost went off. That was a close one. All right, so next what we want to do is give this thing some scratches and some fingerprints perhaps. And that's going to be in the roughness channel. So let's go into this material and let's give this thing some fingerprints first. So I'll make an image texture, and I want to find, ooh, that's a little preview, a little sneak peek onto that concrete pack, huh? Just to let you know, one of these images, it's called Endless Concrete, right? The source file is 196,000 pixels by like 8,000 pixels tall. It just goes. All right, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it. Let's see. Okay, so we want to find my surface imperfection pack. VFX materials, textures, surface imperfections, volume 1. We don't need 4K files for this. 2K maybe, but we're probably good with 1K imperfections on this. So I'm going to grab smudged monitor is probably a good one. Got some nice wipes on it and stuff. And let's invert it. And let's adjust the gamma to open it up just a little bit. And let's do the same deal. We want to give projection, transform, and projection for this, I believe, is box. And transform looks like it needs to come down. So we just get some nice fingerprint smudges on this thing. Give it a little bit of extra detail. That's so close. It's so tiny. Right? That looks really nice. We can probably take that down just a little bit. So we can do that float situation again, or just power. So power, if we zero it out. Okay, we don't want that. We can actually do this with a gradient node. So let's find octane gradient, drop it in, and instead of black being black, what if black was white? Okay, so that means it's as if we didn't put any image texture on it. There's no surface imperfection. If we go white, if we go black, it's full on. That means somewhere gray is right in the middle. So we just dial it down as much as we need, keep it subtle. We don't want it to look like scratches because they aren't scratches yet. Or, you know, we could switch it out for a different imperfection. So let's grab like, I don't know, another one of these smudged monitor images here. Let's bring that back up to black, see what it looks like in full. It actually looks a little bit better. A little less like scratches. But this is gonna be so subtle. So you don't need to go too crazy with it. We can take the transform and just scale it around and find the right spot that we want on this. That's fine. Yeah, that looks good to me. Now let's give this some scratches on the edges. Or no, let's give it scratches all over the whole thing. Very subtle, very subtle. So we're gonna do that in... We could do that a few different ways. We can make a mixed material, but I would like to keep things into one material for now. So what I'll do is... Based on the reference, the scratches are a lighter gray. And I'm wondering where that lighter gray can come from. You know, it can come from... Maybe it's the specular. Yeah, I think it'll be the specular. So here's what we'll do. Let's make an image texture for specular. And let's select one of the scratch imperfections I have. And if you guys want to grab these assets, I have them on my Gumroad down below, link in the description. Let's grab this like subtle scratches here. And it looks like we need to cool this out just a bit. So what we'll do, first, let's apply the box projection to this texture. And then we need to transform it down. This is gonna be too large, 0.1. Looks about right. And we can move this around so it fits everything nice and easy. Awesome. And we can bring the gamma in or up to like choke down those scratches, or we can bring the gamma up to have more scratches shine through. But what we want to do, regardless of where the scratch level is at, we actually want to give it an octane gradient to control the black and white values, right? So it looked a little something like this. And with the scratches, yep, that feels about right to me. A lighter gray. And let's try switching it out for a different one. These are really intense. Too intense. Way too intense. Maybe the original one was fine. Fiber, maybe we could use fiber. This is like dust and stuff. I feel like that first one is the one we need. Alternatively, we can go to Grayscale Gorilla, plus library, textures, and they have some scratches that might work for us. Let's see what Chad Ashley's got. Scratch 02. Drop that in there. Give it the projection and transform nodes. A little intense, pretty intense. Yeah, I think I like mine a little bit better for right now. They have a lot of different ones, but let's do that. And let's adjust it so the scratches are a little bit more subtle. Super subtle. Just a sliver. And then we can open that up a little bit more to show a bit more of the scratches. And I want to make sure that bump is still there. Yep, looking good. And now we want to scratch the edges. Because in the reference, it actually has scratched edges, right? So we want to get up in there. Let's double click this. And the way we're going to do that is with a dirt node in the specular channel. So here's what we'll do. Let's get rid of the specular channel and let's start from scratch. Actually, I want to match that original color we had. I like that original color a lot better. Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to save my stuff. Shame on me for not having a V2 by now. Cool. And let's do a dirt node in the specular channel. So let's type in dirt. And what this is going to do is essentially make a mask for us. And this mask, if I right click and solo it, you can hopefully see what's going on. Strength will crank to 10, radius 0.1, invert it, and there you go. Those are your edge scratches. We can take the radius to 0.3, 0.5 perhaps, 1 centimeter, 5 centimeters, 1 centimeter. You're gonna mess with these settings. Till this feels right. Let's see, radius 0.2, 0.1. Strength tolerance. Whereas the spread is at 1, distribution 1, details. Let's see what this looks like if we unsolo it. So it looks like what we have here, we want to invert this. And we want to grow that mask. But why is it being a butt right now? We want to go 0.3. There we go. So we have this limited to the edges. But I'm unsure as to why the selection isn't growing. I'm just messing with this. Trying to get it to do what I want it to do. Sean, the challenge has begun. This is the last week of the challenge. You can find out more by clicking the link below in the description, which leads to the announcement video. Goodness, what happened? Seems we have to invert it. I don't know why the radius is doing what it's doing here. Sometimes things are glitchy, you know? But we want to invert this. Invert it. Then it's kind of doing what we want it to do. But not really. This is a bummer. I don't know why this is not working. Because if I were to test this on a cube, very large cube, and we were to throw that dirt node on here, we solo it, 100% strength, radius 1 foot. Why is that not working? We invert it. Okay, so the inversion works. And it seems to be working on a large object. That's exactly what we want. So that's on the corners of everything. Maybe it's just so small. But it should grow like that. You see how it grows? So if we know it's working here, then on this guy, we need to take the radius down. And we'll solo it. It's weird. It's like it's only working past. I guess that's what we gotta work with, huh? Anyway. So those are our edges. We have our edges selected. But what we want to do is chip the edges and scratch the edges just on specific parts. So this needs a gradient map here. Let's throw that on there, and let's actually invert this. So I'll flip these points around. So only the edges are shiny versus the actual normal material for this thing. And then from here, we want to chip away at that and just have it be on like the corners essentially. So what we'll do is grab a noise node. We'll pipe that into the specular. And once again, we'll give the contrast 100. Projection will be set to XYZ to UVW, transform node, and we'll scale it down. These are our like chipped little scratch pieces. And let's adjust this. Maybe we'll do like 10 octaves, and the omega we can set to 1. So it's really fine detail. Maybe it's 0.9 on the omega, and we bring the gamma all the way up so there's just tiny little bits on the edges. And what we'll do is essentially combine this with this gradient. And I believe that will be, it's either through an add or a multiply. Let's grab the multiply, put that on there. Okay, so it's not the multiply, it's probably an add. Grab the add, type that in. Need to invert this. I feel like this needs to be at 100%. Then we want to, let's see, need an invert as well. Gradient, octane gradient, we'll flip it. And then we'll try multiplying these two together. It can get very confusing, even for myself sometimes. Okay, that's kind of what we want. We're kind of getting there. You can see how it's taking away some of the chips. So what we want to do, if we invert this, yep, it's just chipping certain parts of it, but none of it has any specular to it. So maybe what we need to do is take this black level and bring it up to a dark gray. Nope. That needs to stay fully black. This chip piece, maybe everything at the end needs a gradient. And this is what determines the overall reflectivity. Yep, here we go. Of everything. My goodness, that took a minute. Then we can mess with this octane noise node to decide how chipped this thing is. And then we can open up the radius on the dirt map. So instead of 0.06, we can just do 0.1, and it'll open it up a little bit more. 0.2, so that opens it up too much. 0.1 is plenty. We can take this, let's see, let's take this noise and give it more omega, 0.8. We can take the gamma down so it's a bit more scratched all around, and then just kind of walk it in until you find the right look. So that's a scratched edge there on that metal piece. And we can keep going with more detail and more detail. You know, that's the manual way. If you want to do it like the Grayscale Gorilla bridge, or not the Grayscale Gorilla, the Quixel Megascans bridge way, let's try that. Let's hit up surfaces. Let's go to, where are you, metal? Bam. We want treated. Ooh, disposable aluminum magazine. That's pretty sweet. Let's download this. We can probably just do a 2K resolution. We'll export that up in our scene. Let's drag and drop it onto this piece here. And we need to make sure it's oriented properly. So it looks like we have a normal, we have a gloss, specular, albedo. I want to take all of these and give them a projection node. So the quickest way to do that, let's organize all this stuff for a second. Awesome. So we can select all these, right click, go to add selected projection. And let's set it to box. And transform it down, 0.1. It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar. We can go to the albedo and mess with the gamma, perhaps. Maybe take the contrast up. Something like that, maybe. It's got some scratches built into it. We could also mess with the way this is being interpreted here. So the material type, universal, we can set it to glossy, octane. See if that changes things to look nicer for us. But I think universal looks a little bit more metallic. GGX model or a Beckman model. They're just different ways that the program interprets like specular and metal and stuff. All right. And we could probably scale this up a little bit more. So texture projection, let's take it to 1.5 maybe. Oh no, actually we want to do that in the transform. So 0.2, double the size. You know, so you can mess with it, figure out any sort of texture you want. It might be a little too scratched for what we're doing. I think so. So maybe we just scrub to a different part of the model that's less scratched. Go to the albedo or the texture or the transform node specifically and just transform it along the if. Maybe we make it less contrasty. So we just hit with 1. Something like that perhaps. What happened to our tube? Oh, I guess because we're in solo mode. It's gonna be a process. It is gonna be a process. 1080 by 1920 is the resolution for this. Lock that ratio. Alt V, bring up our HUD or our safe frames. Turn them on there. And if you can't check the safe frames box, just click the viewer up here. Click this little border on the window. So we can see what this is looking like. As we scrub through here, we can lock it. 0.3. And you can see what I mean, like all that work we put in to this piece, and you can barely tell that it's scratched. You can barely tell the detail that we added to that. So you have to be very careful when adding a bunch of detail, spending a lot of time on a piece. It may not be worth it. So I would really suggest, you model out your thing as broadly as possible. You build your scene as broadly as possible, and then slowly add in detail, There was a really cool video someone put out of their process, their dynamic machines process, and it was of like a frog machine, like a frog city, and there was a giant frog statue. I don't have the link to it, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, like maybe one of the mods can drop it in here. But it was a really cool breakdown. They did it in a really cool way, and I think they basically showed the process where they worked their machine first, they did their dynamics first, and then they worked in the detail. And they worked in more detail over time. They didn't start with a little detail. You don't start with a pencil and you get in there and you start doing like the detail of the eye, and then you build out from there. You start with a sketch. You start with a very general sketch. So I would highly encourage y'all to focus on the broad strokes first. Make sure your scene functions, and then go in for the detail. But I'm just giving you an example of like how detailed it can get on this, and how detailed that it might get when I'm doing this. So at the end of the day, it's an educational stream, trying to learn some stuff. Jones Lab, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. I will stay hydrated. Thank you so much. Got some water for you right here. What else we got? Really Sticks, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Longtime fan, was wondering if you have an all-time favorite quarter crew video. Man. Yeah, the Lion King video was amazing. Getting set on fire was amazing. What else? The Who Shot the TV thing was hilarious. The jury where Nico got put on trial for having a dirty equipment room might be one of my favorite ones of all time. The Mario Kart one where Carmichael like snaps his neck super hard. I'm in tears every time. There's so many good episodes. So yeah, man, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for bringing me back. Good stuff. Good time. There's a lot. The Node video we did, actually playing Frogger, where each person had a different button, was the best. I love that. Good one. What kind of water do I drink? Ben, shout outs. H2O, man. Just straight up H2O. Classic. Hey, I'm gonna keep going. Thanks for hopping in with me, y'all. We got 600 people up in here. Doing it big. I keep doing this. I keep bringing this up. What can we do in the last hour? What do we want to do in the last hour here? How do we want to spend our time? I can just keep detailing out different mechanical pieces. We don't have to worry about texturing too much. So I'm actually going to switch back over. And Bring up the chat. How are y'all doing? You guys having a good time? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are having a good time. Probably got another hour on this. Do a bit more detail modeling to keep building this thing out, because it's got to be done at some point, you know what I mean? Spoofers, thank you for the super chat. What is Jan and Wes up to these days? I may have missed a video talking about it, but I miss them. All right, so Jan, I actually hang out with Jan every single week. We go rock climbing together. He's not joining me after the stream, but every single week we go top roping together outdoors with ropes. He taught me how to anchor up safely, so he's doing good. He's on a shoot right now. And Wes, I hadn't talked with Wes in a minute, but last I heard, Wes just wrapped a movie. Yeah, he did some cool stuff with Daystorm and some other people who were on Vine at the time. So he's doing cool stuff. I love Wes. He's a super positive guy. He's always telling me to sit up straight. You know, he's like, keep your back straight, man. I'm like, you know what? You're right, dude. You're right. Gotta love Wes. He's one of my favorites. Professor, yes, start at 113. Dynamics are turned on at frame 113. Absolutely. What else we got? Any questions from y'all? Questions from y'all? Ah, the mic cuts out a little. The gate is a little too high. Hey, shoutouts. Let me see if I can fix that real quick for you. Guest cam. No, let's go to my camera. This is boring stuff, but you know, it's got to be done. Them filters. That gate. Think that's better? That should be better. That should be better. What I have for lunch? I didn't have lunch yet. And I probably got some chicken in the fridge. Did I go to college? I kind of went to college. I did like a technical school for a year and a half, but ended up dropping out. I've told that story a couple times. So basically, I went to a tech school. They're teaching Photoshop. They're teaching After Effects. They're teaching a little bit of Cinema 4D. They're teaching how to draw, that kind of stuff. And at the time, I knew everything they were teaching in the After Effects class because I watched all the Video Copilot Andrew Kramer tutorials, and I was on it. That was prime time for me for Video Copilot After Effects tutorials. So I happened to know everything in the After Effects class. And you know, there's a Photoshop class too. It was a rough class. There was an Illustrator class. It was a okay class, but like I knew most of the stuff. I knew C4D. I knew After Effects. I knew not Illustrator. I knew Photoshop. So the classes were quite boring, and the one teacher I had who was amazing, Mr. Mason, he actually allowed me to work on my YouTube videos way back. This is probably 2010. He allowed me to work on my YouTube videos as a grade because he was like, dude, you know After Effects. Like, have fun. Do your thing. And, you know, it was a rough process for me. I didn't really enjoy it just because I wasn't learning. I wanted to learn more. But I'd already learned as much as possible just by, you know, being online. They were beginner classes, right? They didn't offer the advanced stuff. So, from there, Freddie asked me, I was living in Georgia at the time, in Atlanta, and Freddie, who, you know, ran the Freddie W channel, he did the rocket jump stuff. We were fans of each other, and he was like, yo, you should move out here. Because I had visited prior. I had visited him. I met Sam and Nico. I met Freddie and Brandon. I met Jimmy and like everybody out here. And I was like, man, I would love to, but I don't think, I mean, I'll ask my dad. I asked my dad, and he said, no, you got to get your degree. So I was like, okay. All right. And I went to my After Effects teacher and I told him about the opportunity. I was like, look, like my dad wants me to get my degree. what do you think? And he said, if you have a job in LA, the only reason we're going to school here is to get a job in LA. And if you have that offer before you have your degree, then I would go for it. You could always come back to school later. So I told it to my dad, and he was like, go for it. All right, sounds good to me. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting you to say that. So I packed up all my stuff and like drove across country. And I moved in with Freddie in this back room. Corridor is in Studio 3 and Studio 4. Stress level 0 is in Studio 5 and 6. And I moved into Studio 6 in the back room without any windows. It was brick walls all around. I had to put in carpet. And that was the best. It was really the best because I got to work with like people I really respected, looked up to, and that I could learn from. I got into it, dove into it and learned through doing, just filming, doing VFX for Freddie, I was working on Cardboard Warfare 2 at the time. So it was just a lot of learning and surrounding myself with a lot of people that did what I wanted to do. And, that's kind of the great thing about the internet is that you can find a community of people who love doing what you love doing. So the more you can surround yourself with people that push you and surround yourself with people that inspire you, then you're going to be in a better place. So if like you're really into rock climbing, you want to hang out with some rock climbers who are a lot better than you. Or if you really want to learn 3D, you want to hang out with 3D artists who are better than you. So I'm constantly trying to look and learn as much as possible. I don't have all the answers on the channel. Like if I can teach a thing or two, that's great. But really, if I can inspire you to, open up a 3D program and start messing with some stuff, then that's even better, So long answer for a short question. Did I go to college? I did. Yeah, I did. But it ended up just not being right for me. The specific tech school I was at. I didn't go to film school, it was a tech school. So yeah. What's the discount code for Concierge? There is no discount code. If you spend $10, they'll give you an extra $10. That's how it works. You can verify your phone number too for an extra $5. So if you spend $10, you can get an extra $15 towards your render, and that'll give you plenty of render credits to render anything you want. In this case, the Dynamic Machines Challenge. Hopefully, a lot of y'all are working on them and getting to the point where we're coming down. It's about a week left, and hopefully you guys have some submissions to start rendering. And if you want to use a render farm, Concierge Render, they got a good deal for y'all. So yeah, there's no promo code. It's just if you spend $10, they will match that, and they'll give you another $10 on top of that. But yeah, let's see what we can wrap out here on our submission. Right. What's the best way to spend our time? Spencer, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. You say, do you have any tips for organizing these community art contests? Every time I tried, it never really seems to gain traction. Thanks for all you do. How to start them. Well, it helps to have a YouTube channel with people on it, and it helps to have a Discord with people on it. But here's the thing. I didn't have a Discord with people on it a year and a few months ago. I started it about a year and a few months ago, and it went from 0 people to, I think now it's at like 32 or 33,000 people. So really it's consistency. Stay consistent with what you do. And you will grow if you stay consistent. The only way I was able to start a community challenge like this is by having an audience of people. You can also reach out to people, say, hey, I would love for you to participate in this challenge. I want to put together an end product, and I think it's going to be cool. And like the more you do it, the fact that you show that you've done it, people will be like, oh yeah, that's cool. The second one did a lot better than the first one because people saw the first one. Hopefully the third one, this one here, will do better than the second one because more people saw the second one. And it just builds. You just got to stay consistent with it, and we're all going to grow slowly. No one's going to blast off. I've been doing YouTube since 2006. That is That's a long time. That's almost like math. That's like 15 years. That's a long time. So it doesn't happen like that. You just need to stay consistent with it. All right. Let's see. What do we want to do here? And Ronan, do you know if the concierge bonus applies to people who are already members? It says for new signups. So maybe you just want to, switch your email, sign up, and you can get it that way. That's what I'd do. That's what I would do. All right. How do we want to spend our last 45 minutes here together? All right, let's build some pipes or something. Build some pipe pieces. Nice thin pipe. Right? It looks like there's these pipe clamps and stuff. I wonder if McMaster Car has any pieces we can bring over. Let's do a little search. So they have hose and tube clamps. Cable ties. I think hose and tube clamps would probably be what we need. Now the question is just, do they have they actually have CAD files for these? They do. Oh my goodness. Yes. Let's download this. And let's start organizing this stuff, because organization is the only way we're going to get through a complex scene. So art, VFX, or you know what? Yeah, I'll save them here. Models. McMaster Car. Bam. Hold shift, drag it into the scene. That way you don't have to bring it into a new scene every single time. We're gonna grab all these pieces that make up this clamp. We'll right click, connect objects plus delete, hit S to snap us to the actual piece. And we can just scale this to, each individual pipe. Now, to get it fully synced up and lined up with this tube, I'm going to use the transfer tool. So you can hit Shift C and type in transfer. Bam, right up in here. And I've docked it. It should be up in here. Am I really not? What's going on? Let's see. Why? Strange. Bring this startup layout back. Okay. So the transfer tool, I got it docked up here. Custom button. I'm gonna hit the transfer tool and just select the cylinder, and hopefully it should sync it up. Yep, just perfectly. And then I can rotate things, and I know if I scale it down, it's just gonna perfectly clamp with it. And let's make sure we select the Y. Boom. Awesome. Something funky happened with this screw though. So let me go back until we baked it down. Let's take a look at it, see what it looks like before we did the bake. And it actually came in janky. Came in like that. So maybe there's another one we can use. There's so many of these, it's crazy. Like this cable tie is pretty sweet. This metal one. Try and grab this, let's download it. Bam. And we'll drop it into our scene. Let's delete this one. Shift drag. Drop it right in, and it looks like that looks proper. That's a tiny one, but we can definitely use it. I wonder if someone online has like got all these FBXs and have them in one project file, because that'd be super helpful. Let's connect objects plus delete and hit the transfer tool once more. Get it lined up with this cylinder, and we can hold shift. Bam. Scale it down just a bit. We got this super detailed like piece here. Super cool. So much detail with like no effort. I love it. God, it keeps happening. Keeps happening. But what about topology? Nah. It looks good in the render. That's good enough for me. Let's keep going down this pipe and seeing what little clamps we can find. Like there's these square clamps that hold the pipe together, or hold some sort of like wires down to the pipe, and it looks like this pipe has a lot of clamps on it. And that square bracket piece. Let me show you guys how to cut a circle out of a square. That's a good tip to know. So let's do a plane. I'll hold that, hold control. I'll make a polygon rather. Right there, we'll scale it down, and let's go ahead and solo it, and I'll show you guys how to do this. So if I were to apply a subdivision surface to this polygon, it'll turn it into basically a circle. But let's go ahead and bake this down, hit C, and Q will toggle this on and off, right? And what you want to do is actually, I think the best way to go about this is probably drop a plane in here, because we want some slices up in this. NB, see what we're working with. And I think let's try 5 and 5. See what we can do there. 4 and 4 maybe. Yep, 4 and 4 will work for us. And what we want to do is make that editable by hitting C. Let's cut a hole right up in here. Just delete that. And see what it looks like. Okay. Giving us a square. But what if we want to make this a circle? So I'm going to grab these corners and essentially turn it into a like diamond. That is a circle. So that's a circle out of a square, and we can tighten it up. KL, make some cuts along here, make some cuts, make some cuts. Boom. Boom. And that's clean. Super clean. And you could take that, Control A, hit D for extrude, bring this up just a little bit, bring it up a lot, and then bring it up just a little bit more. That will be essentially, bam, a perfect little piece here that if we bring things back, we can scale this plane down and essentially make this little module that holds this pipe in place. And we can grab a couple more screws from McMaster to get this little piece right here. Right, and if you want that indentation, it looks like there's a little indentation in there. You can just come up in here and let's do these pieces. And we can hit D, push them back, and probably scale them down. Let's see. This, like this. And that's a little extreme. It feels a little extreme. We need to save some room for the actual screws. So I'll grab this, just push that in. Or even crunch it down just a little bit and then push it in. Or we can go KL, bam, make that selection, grab these points 1 and 2, push them out just a little bit, like so. Then we push this back. We can take this top piece, bring it down just a little bit. We want to select all of them. Point mode. Bam, just that right there. Bring it down. These ones here. Up just a little bit. 1 and 2. Something like that. We might be able to tighten this up if we make a cut here and here. Something like that. Yeah, feels pretty good. And then you put those screws on the left and right. Nice, very nice. Maybe we grab this and just scale it in a little bit. And let's grab some, we want to make a screw. We wanted to make a screw ourselves. I mean, it could be very simple. You could just do something like hold control. Let's make a cylinder. Hit T, we'll scale it down. Holding shift, we'll snap 90 degrees, scale it down more, bring it over to the side. Yikes, make it skinny. Awesome. This probably doesn't need, this could probably be like 6-sided, something like that. And we can give it, we'll just make it editable. Let's actually, no, let's crunch it down. It's just the head of this thing. Grab all these bits. KL. Boom. Just like that. Loop selection UL, D for extrude, and that's really all it needs. Hold shift. We can bake the bevel in. This is small enough. Let's take this whole thing. Let's select all of these cuts here. Maybe except for this one and hit MN. That's going to remove those bits. Might be able to do this one too. Yep. Grab the back piece. Move it up. MW, extrude inner. And D for extrude. We're not going to see that piece. And let's bake in the bevel. So UL, loop selection, grab all these bits here. If you're clipping like this, you can hold Control D or press Control D and change your view clipping to tiny. All of that, I'm gonna hit MS, 3 subdivisions. Goodness. Okay, and we'll just type it in. 0.01. This is 0.005. This is tiny. There we go. And we could probably do, let's see, I'll just use a bevel modifier. Hold shift, drop the bevel modifier in there, 0.005. 3 subdivisions. That looks pretty good. Maybe 1. Drop the Fong to 20. And maybe we take it back up to 40. Good. And I'm definitely going to make iterations of all this stuff versus full-on copies. And you know what? I think I'm going to adjust this a little bit so this comes out a lot more. Awesome. Our hex screw. And I'm gonna make an iteration or an instance. Boom, hex screw instance, and we'll drag it over side here. Don't forget to randomly rotate these things. Tiny details, very tiny details. For modeling, it's gonna have to pay off here. It's all in the details for modeling. Tiny little bits. This is gonna be crazy. Wow, okay. Going back to the reference, what else do we see? We see some valves and stuff with some like readouts and whatnot. Lots of stickers. We can add those later. And zip tie bits. So let's do a quick little zip tie situation. So for the zip tie, let's do be the best way. To adjust a zip tie. Well, I guess having different size zip ties. I know McMaster Car has some, but I don't think they have the CAD files for it. So a zip tie should be pretty darn simple. That's gonna be a tube. Punch this down. And we match this up. Very skinny. zip tie. And let's go 32 segments on it. We can keep this ring complete. Let's give it a fillet with one segment at 0.002, 0.005, just a little bit there. And maybe we go 50 segments on that. I think it's gonna be too tiny to see any rivets, so we don't have to worry about that for now. But what we will see is essentially the little like cap piece. So I'm gonna scale this down until it's just snug on this. Grab this cylinder, we'll set it to, give it a couple more rotational segments. Grab the tube, hold control, make a cube, scale it down. Actually, this will be more of a tube situation. Or even, we can do this with a plane. We can do this so many different ways. Let's do it with a tube. Scale it down. Let's give it 4 segments. Rotate it 45 degrees on the correct axis. All right. What's up, everybody? Hopping in from Corridor. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hopping over to the stream. We're making some cool stuff. We're making this. I'm not going to finish it on the stream, but it's going to work. It's going to be what I'm working on over the next week for my dynamic machines submission, which is my render challenge to the 3D community. We got a week left. If you want to join, there's a link in the description pointing to the announcement video. That'll get you guys started. So let's scale this tube down and let's zip tie. God dang it. This happens all the time. All right. So a zip tie, it looks like it's coming in about, make that editable. All right. Rotate it 90, holding shift. We don't need all those segments either. We can get rid of those. UL, loop selection. Do this every time. MN will dissolve them. And this little cube right here is what the zip tie will be going into. So let's bring this up. And we'll scale it down. Something like that. Very simple. Let's go ahead and get rid of these bits too. We don't need those. MN and crunch it down like so. Awesome. Grab that bevel modifier, 0.005. And you probably need one last little piece on this. So we'll make a cube here, holding control to spawn it in place of this thing. Open it up just a bit. Crunch it down. And this will be placed basically all over this whole thing. No one's gonna know, bam, that doesn't fit because it's gonna be tiny. Take that cube, Let's give it a little fillet. Boom, 1, and we'll set that to 0.005. Let's open up this tube just a bit. You take the Fong down on that. A bit more uniform. That's kind of our little zip tie piece. We don't need the extra geo here. Let's set that to 1. And this, if we control Alt, hit Alt G, that's going to be our zip tie. And we can essentially make an instance of this. So there's no extra geometry being calculated, and we can move this up and down, this whole thing, put them wherever we want on any of these other tubes. If you want to get them on this tube over here, you can hit the transfer tool, bam, pop it over, hit T, scale it up. Oh, wow. Okay, so scaling, if I hit C on that, that'll turn it into its own thing. Okay, got you. Scale it up. Okay, so it's not... We need to adjust the gizmo so the gizmo actually is correct on the for real one. So let's find our zip tie. We'll go to a top view, hit L, and we'll center this up, this gizmo up with the cylinder. That way it's being scaled from the middle. Boom. So now when we scale it up, it's actually proper. And then let's make a instance. We can move that over to this guy, or just, again, use the transfer tool so it's right in the middle. And we can scale this up, I believe, this way, 1.87, 1.7. 2.17 across the board, or we can just bake it down. But yeah, so you can transfer these to different pipes all across this whole thing. And there's different sized zip ties in the world, so we don't have to worry about that. Maybe just color them differently or something. And usually zip ties are wrapped around pipes like this when there's wires coming in through them. So I'll have to hook those up with a bunch of wires and whatnot. It's gonna be a lot of work to get this done. What up, Ren? We got Ren in the chat. What's poppin'? Yeah, Ren, so I'm building this out. And I'm attempting to like hand model most of it and then use like McMasterCar to download CAD models and stuff to finish the rest of it. But I want it to look like this. It's going to be insane. But it's a lot of primitives. It's just a ton of primitives, a lot of wires, and some grungy textures. And the more complicated it looks, I think the better. So my goal is to populate this whole thing, have it look like this, and then figure out a way for the ball to like go through all of this and turn this into a contraption essentially. But what's up, Ren? Good to hear from you. Good to see your little thumbs typing away. Ah. Oh man. Everyone give a shout out to Ren. He's holding it down. Alright. I'm about ready to wrap this thing up. I'll probably make one more piece. One more detail piece on this thing. What do we want to do? It's just a lot of placing random little objects. Man, this thing is so cool. I don't know what this is, but it's awesome. Yeah, render. Hopefully, God, I called you render. Hopefully, I can get my render to look this good. That's my goal. That is 100% my goal. We'll see what I can do. Thanks for popping in, dude. I'm gonna build out one more piece here. See what we can do. Oh, this stepping system is really cool. That's awesome. Oh, it looks like there's like a... Oh, I see. There's a main server piece that's kind of built out from this. Everything is housed on this. Extruded here. Oh, I see. See if I can't find one of these little dials on McMaster. Because I know they have them. Where are you? Where are the dials? Pressure gauge. Yes. There's no way they got the CAD files for this, though. They do. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ah, this website is the best. All right, so let's get the... Please specify pressure gauge to download. PSI 1 to 1000. Yes. Yes, please. All right. Holding shift, drag it into the scene so you don't have to copy it into a whole new scene. And if we take off the front face and this face and this face, then there's nothing inside, but that's okay. We'll fill it with something later, but that's doing a lot for us. Super cool. I'll take this whole thing, select everything, control, click, connect objects plus delete, and let's select all these points. And we'll bake it down, or not bake it, we'll optimize it, UO. So 3,900 points to 2,900 points. And that just, again, basically just takes care of any points. It merges any points that are on top of each other, redundant points. So there's like a pressure gauge attached to this thing. This piece, I feel like, needs to be optimized as well. Control A, 5700, hit UO for optimize, 4200. Amazing. Amazing. I kind of want to thicken this piece up a little bit too. Let's take this whole thing, open it up just a bit. There we go. Bam, bam. Those up. Awesome. Yeah, Ren, McMaster is the best. It all just comes down to the materials at that point. Ren, I have no idea what this machine is. It's in a book. I have an art book of like mechanical engineering, and it's from some sort of research facility in Japan. And I think it's like a particle accelerator facility or something like that. That's all I know. Probably a particle accelerator or something. Oh, I have so much work to do. All right, it looks like there's some sort of like main extruded bit here. This goes from top to bottom. Just about like that. And behind all this is behind all of this is like stuff. Something like that. Let's see what this looks like from this view. It'll be sweet. I can't wait. Can't wait. This is going to be filled with so much detail. It's going to be ridiculous. Ah. Yeah, the whole left side and the whole right side is like sunk back. And all the detail is like right in the center here, and you have these pieces on the left and the right. And there's these different platforms here that's holding all these different pieces in place. Yeah, something like that. Lots of pipes. Ren, what's up? Oh, tomorrow's crew video. Yes. So tomorrow on Corridor, Ren essentially did a submission for this. Wait, okay, so he's saying it on, and honestly, everyone who was here 2 weeks ago, that Smash game. Oh yeah, the Smash game? But yeah, tomorrow on Corridor Crew, Ren did a submission for this challenge, and he's walking you through his entire process. So I can't wait for y'all to see it. It's so good. It's so good. So excited to see it. It turned out so well. Minus the Smash game. You guys will know what I mean. Minus the Smash game. Just wait. Oh my goodness. Did you add stuff to it? Oh man, I can't wait. It's gonna be good. Yeah, Ren had to like Ren had to like tweak it just to show that he won. He had to rig it up. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. All right. I think I'm gonna call it. Like obviously have a lot of work to do. We'll see how everything goes. I'll post my progress in the Discord server, link below. The submission link is live. If you're ready to submit your render, click the link below. It's submission.createwithclint.com, and follow it very carefully. All right, the submission link. Follow it carefully. Make sure you follow the rules. You can only upload a render one time. Okay. So make sure it's your final render. Okay. Other than that, yeah, use Concierge render if you want to use a render farm over this last week while everyone busts out their renders. They got you guys hooked up with a nice deal. And what else? Yeah. Corridor Crew tomorrow. Ren's doing his submission. It's good stuff. What is Ren saying? Actually, there's very little about my process on it. That's all he said. Okay. It'll be a good video. Regardless, it'll be a good video. And no, my hand is not always injured. It's so many people ask this. I just need to pin this comment to every live stream. This is a glove so I can smoothly glide over my Wacom tablet. Use a tablet, not a mouse. But with that, y'all, I think it's about time to call it. I'll chill with y'all for the next 5 minutes. I'll answer any questions you have. And then we're going to call it. Thanks for hanging with me, everybody. Thanks for sticking in. It's gonna be a big month next month. Lots of sweet videos coming out. Announcing a Patreon first week of the month. Dropping render montages. Announcing winners. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be a good one. Chris Schmidt. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm wrapping up. This is the time. I'm wrapping up right now. Oh my goodness. Dude, Chris, let me show you what I'm trying to make. Let me show you this. It's like some sort of crazy electrical engineering thing. I'm turning this into a contraption that guides a ball from the top to the bottom as part of this Dynamic Machines challenge. And you are the master of dynamics. I learned everything I know about dynamics from Mr. Chris Schmidt. So it is an honor to have you here in the chat, dude. We still got to do a stream together, man. Hit me up on Instagram or send me an email or something. Let's do a stream, dude. So yeah, I got a lot of work ahead of me this next week, Chris. I got to build this out and make it look legit. It's going to be good. Any questions? If you guys at me, at pwnisher, I can see your questions a lot easier. But Ty asks what tablet I recommend or which I use. So I'm using the Wacom Intuos Pro 4 or 5, whichever one they're on, the newest one. It's great. I use the medium-sized one. I don't need a massive tablet at my workstation. The medium-sized one is perfect. It's got a bunch of shortcut buttons on it. I gave some away, or Wacom gave some away on my last challenge, the Alternate Realities Challenge. They hooked you all up with some sweet tablets, so I recommend it. It's it's reasonably priced, and it's the way to go for sure. All right, Michael, let's see. Does it have to be a machine, or is it allowed to do something else? Well, it doesn't have to be a machine, but the essence, the soul of the challenge, it's called Dynamic Machines, right? So we want to essentially make a giant Rube Goldberg contraption that guides a ball from the top to bottom. So, people are doing very unique stuff, very creative stuff. I'm not going to say it has to be a machine, but that's what I'm going to be doing. But together, it all works together as a Rube Goldberg contraption. So just know that. I go by Zach. You are welcome for that C4D ad tip on McMaster-Carr. It's a very good one, very useful site. Do I sculpt? I do not sculpt, but if I had to, using a pen tab would probably be the way to go. Killian, yes, I'm trying to make this a Guinness World Record. They take a long time to get back to you, so no news yet. Will I do more views or videos with the Corridor crew? Absolutely. Absolutely, of course. Yeah, those good buddies over there. Can we render in 1080 by 1920 times 2? You mean 4K resolution, but still like vertical? Yeah, you can render it larger as long as your aspect ratio is 9 by 16, I believe. I think I said that right. As long as it's a vertical video, you can do a 4K version of it. Peace out, Ren. Good to see you, man. Have a good one. Am I visiting the UK anytime? I would like to, but not anytime soon. Thanks to everyone for joining me here on the stream. It gets a little difficult to talk because I've been talking for the last 3 hours. How long have I been talking for? 3 hours and 40 minutes you've been talking straight, so words get jumbled towards the end, but that's how it is. What else? Oh yeah, I was saying, thanks for joining me, everybody. You guys are great. Thanks for coming over from Corridor. If you aren't subscribed by this point, hit that subscribe button if you want to learn how to do 3D stuff, if you want to join in on these 3D community challenges, and if you want to get VFX tips and advice. I'm dropping stuff every single week. So subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Give me a thumbs up. Comment down below. You know how it is on what you want to see next. Any other good questions? Can I share a glove link? I can't at this moment, but if you type in tablet glove on Amazon, you will find something. Promise. What else do we have? Any other good questions here? I don't do VFX, but love watching this stuff. That's interesting. Very interesting. Quiz Jam. I'm glad you are entertained. What else? When can we turn in the challenge? You can turn it in starting now, but you have till August 1st, 11:59 p.m. PST. If you submit after that, this can't be accepting those submissions, you know? Can't be winning prizes, delivering stuff late, you know? The link is live right now. Submit, the link's in the description. But y'all, I think that's everything. I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna get some rock climbing in. I'm gonna eat some food. I'm gonna drink some water. It's been a good day. Thank you all for everything. Thanks for tuning in with me. And I'll see you next week. I got a whole video. It's a pre-edited video coming for you. My boy Visual is doing the edit right now. Shout outs to Visual helping me with the edit. We're putting together a video on how to go outside, shoot textures, come back, process them in Photoshop, make normal maps, specular maps, roughness maps, and make your own texture packs. And then I'm selling a concrete texture pack. It's called Endless Concrete because it's not just an ordinary concrete pack. These are the biggest concrete textures you've ever seen. The internet doesn't even have them yet. They're going to have them next week. Talking like massive walls of concrete, giant under the bridge, huge concrete structures and textures for you to use. So with that, that's going to be next week. 50% off the pack for the first week when it drops. You know how it goes. I'll see you guys later. It's been a stream. Peace out, y'all. Good times.